This is how I built a remote controlled submarine that you can take on underwater missions just with a normal radio controller. This is how it's going to work. So I'll have two leg pieces made of the smaller 20mm pipe, which will look something like this with 90-degree connectors on them. Then I'll have the three bigger pipes, which will be placed into a 3 printed connector, which should look something like this. These two outer holes will have floating pipes in them, which will just be filled with weights so I can balance it correctly. Then this middle pipe, which will go in this hole, will hold all the electronics so they don't get wet. Then I'll make another connector, which will allow the big pipe to go through, and it will connect to the smaller pipe, which will allow me to connect the legs. Then I'll have 3 motors, one in the middle, which will face down, which will allow the submarine to go up and down in the water. Then I'll have one on each side, which will allow them to go forwards if they are both on. Or I can have them going opposite directions, which will allow me to turn. I got some 40mm and 20mm pipe from my local shop, and I cut the 40mm pipe into 3 pieces, each which have a length of 40 centimeters, and I cut the 20mm pipe into 2 sections of 40mm and 4 sections of 30mm. Next, I bought these 90-degree corner pieces for the 20mm pipe, so I can hold them all together and create the feet of the submarine. Next, I designed all these parts and then I printed them on my 3D printers. These 2 pieces will hold the main body together, which is the 3 40mm pipes, which will each go in each hole. Then this piece will let me connect the smaller pipe to the bigger pipe, which will allow me to make the feet of the ROV. I realized, what on earth am I doing? Because I can just combine these 2 pieces together and it saves me some space on the craft. Then this piece will just be a guard for the propellers so that they don't get tangled up in anything that I might run into under the water. Next, I put the whole thing together so you can see the 3 main pipe bodies held together by these middle bits. Then I attached the 3 motors into their places on this big motor mount, which I also made. Also got these propellers I had lying around and attached them to the motors with these metal bits that came with them. Next, I soldered together these 3 40-amp brushless ESCs, which will control the motors. This XT30 connectors for the battery. These cables will go to the receiver. Then I soldered some more XT30 connectors onto the ends of them so I could easily detach this part from the motors. Then I put it all together and started testing each motor to see if they all work, and it works fine. Next, I cut the wires on this receiver and I will then solder them to this giant Ethernet cable. So this will run from the surface to the ROV and will let me control it. Controller I'm using for this project is the FlySky one. I just bought it off Amazon for 50 quid. And the battery I'm using is just a 4S 750 milliamp battery. That's it for this video. And in the next one, I'm going to be soldering the receiver to the Ethernet cable and then hopefully attaching a camera to it so you can see what it sees from the surface.